Seneca the Younger, advisor to emperors, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, spent a significant portion of his philosophical writing on a single question: how should we relate to death? This might seem morbid. In our culture, death is the subject we avoid, the reality we postpone thinking about, the fear lurking at the edge of consciousness that we do everything possible not to confront. But Seneca argued the opposite. He said that our refusal to think about death is precisely what makes us unable to live. Most people sleepwalk through existence because they operate under the illusion of unlimited time. And that the daily meditation on mortality, what the Stoics called memento mori, remember that you will die, is not a practice of despair but of liberation. In his essay, On the Shortness of Life, Seneca writes, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements if it were all well invested. The problem is not that life is short. The problem is that we live as if we have forever. And this illusion, this failure to acknowledge mortality, makes us squander the only thing we actually possess, time." Let me show you what Seneca actually taught about death, and why he considered it the most important philosophical practice. The fundamental delusion. Seneca identified what he considered humanity's core delusion. He writes, "Everyone hurries his life on and suffers from a yearning for the future and a weariness of the present. But he who bestows all of his time on his own needs, who plans out every day as if it were his last, neither longs for nor fears the morrow." Most people, Seneca observed, live in a strange temporal displacement. They're always preparing for life rather than living it. They say, "When I finish school, then I'll live. When I get the job, then I'll be happy. When I retire, then I'll do what I really want." But this is based on a false assumption, that you will have that future time. That you're guaranteed tomorrow, next year, retirement, old age. Seneca is blunt: you are living as if destined to live forever, your own frailty never occurs to you, you don't notice how much time has already passed, but squander it as though you had a full and overflowing supply. This is not pessimism. This is factual observation. You do not know how much time you have. No one does. And yet you make plans as if time is infinite, as if death is some distant abstraction that happens to other people. The result? You postpone what matters. You tolerate what you shouldn't. You pursue what doesn't genuinely fulfill you. You waste time on trivialities because you believe there will always be more time later. The practice of daily death. Seneca's solution is radical in its directness. Contemplate your death every single day. He writes to his friend Lucilius, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day. The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time." This is a specific philosophical exercise, not a morbid obsession. Every evening, Seneca practiced what he called the examination of conscience, a structured reflection on the day that just passed. He would ask himself, "What bad habit have I cured today? What vice have I resisted? In what respect am I better?" But undergirding this practice was a more fundamental question: if I had died today, would this day have been worth the price of being alive? This is the question that changes everything. Because when you ask this honestly, most days don't pass the test. Most days are spent on autopilot, on distraction, on activities you wouldn't choose if you knew they were among your last. Seneca writes, "We are not given a short life, but we make it short. We are not ill-supplied with time, but wasteful of it." What death reveals about life. Here's what Seneca understood: death is not just an event at the end of life. Death is happening continuously. Every moment that passes is a moment you will never have again. Every day that ends is a day subtracted from your total. He writes with stark clarity, "All that is past is death's property. The moment you just experienced. Already gone. Already in the realm of what was, not what is. You don't possess your past. You only ever possess this present moment. And even as you read this, that moment is passing into death. This is why Seneca says, hold every hour in your grasp. Lay hold of today's task, and you will not need to depend so much upon tomorrow's. While we are postponing, life speeds by. The meditation on death forces you to confront what you're actually doing with your time. Not what you plan to do eventually, but what you're doing now. Because now is all you have. Most people, Seneca observes, don't actually live most of their lives. They exist in a perpetual state of preparation or postponement. They're busy, certainly, but busy with what? He writes, how late it is to begin really to live just when life must end. How stupid to forget our mortality and put off sensible plans to our 50th or 60th year, aiming to begin life from a point at which few have arrived. The categories of wasted time. Seneca breaks down how people waste their lives into specific categories. This isn't abstract, it's precisely observed human behavior. First, there are those enslaved to other people's expectations. They spend their entire lives pursuing status, reputation, and approval. They make decisions based on what others will think rather than what they genuinely value. Seneca calls these people, owned by others. He asks, can you really say you own your time when you're constantly at the beck and call of others? When your schedule is determined by demands you never questioned? Second, there are those enslaved to pleasure-seeking. Not genuine enjoyment, but the frantic pursuit of sensation to avoid emptiness. Entertainment, consumption, distraction. These people, Seneca says, are busy doing nothing. Their time vanishes into activities that leave no trace, develop no capacity, create no meaning. Third, there are those enslaved to acquisition. Their lives are spent accumulating money, possessions, achievements, without ever asking why. They sacrifice the present for a future payoff they may never reach. And even if they reach it, Seneca observes, they discover it wasn't what they actually wanted. He writes, they lose the day in waiting for the night, and the night in fearing the dawn. These are not trivial wastes of time. These are entire lives consumed by patterns never examined. Death as liberation. But here's where Seneca's teaching becomes powerful. The contemplation of death is what liberates you from these patterns. When you genuinely internalize your mortality, not as an abstract concept but as an immediate reality, your relationship with time transforms completely. Suddenly, you cannot afford to spend your days on what doesn't matter. You cannot afford to postpone what's genuinely important. You cannot afford to live according to someone else's script. Seneca writes, you will find no one willing to share out his money, but to how many does each of us divide up his life? People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. Think about this. You would never let someone steal your money. But you let people steal your time constantly. You give it away freely to obligations you don't believe in, to relationships that drain you, to work that doesn't fulfill you, to entertainment that doesn't satisfy you. Why? Because you believe you have more time coming. You believe this day doesn't really matter because there will be another one tomorrow. But what if there isn't? The proximity of death. Seneca makes another crucial point. Death is not waiting politely until you're old. Death is always present. Death is hunting you right now. He writes to Lucilius, you say, I will face death when it comes. What are you thinking? Death is already here. How so? Everything from your past is death. But more than this, death could arrive at any moment. The assumption that you'll die old, peacefully, with time to prepare, this is not guaranteed. This is not even likely. Seneca himself witnessed sudden deaths constantly. Plague, accident, violence, assassination. Rome was not a safe place. But neither is any place truly. The illusion of safety is just that, illusion. He writes, no one is so ignorant as not to know that we must die at some time, nevertheless, when one draws near death, one turns away, trembles, and laments. Why? Because people have not practiced. They've avoided the thought their entire lives. And so when death arrives, they're unprepared. They've wasted their life, and now they realize it, but it's too late. This is why Seneca insists on daily practice. Not to make you morbid, but to make you ready. So that death, whenever it comes, finds you prepared. Finds you having lived. The practice, premeditatio malorum. Seneca taught a specific exercise called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This is the structured contemplation of worst-case scenarios, including death. He writes, "The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive. Every morning, imagine that this day might be your last. Not in a fearful way, but as a fact. Consider, if I died today, what would I regret not having done? What would I regret having done? How would I want to have spent these hours? Then live accordingly. Every evening, review the day as if it were complete." Seneca's evening practice was to ask himself, what wound did I heal today? What vice did I resist? In what way am I better? But the underlying question was always, did I live today as if it mattered? This is not about achievement. This is not about productivity in the modern sense. This is about presence. This is about alignment between your values and your actions. This is about not wasting the unrepeatable moment you were given. What this makes possible. When you practice memento mori genuinely, several things happen. First, trivialities lose their power over you. The petty concern, the minor insult, the small disappointment, these shrink to their proper size when held against mortality. Seneca writes, "Life is long if you know how to use it." The person conscious of death doesn't waste time on what doesn't matter. Second, you become capable of genuine enjoyment. This seems paradoxical, but Seneca observed it, the person who remembers death can actually be present to life. Because they're not taking this moment for granted. They're not assuming there will be infinitely more moments like this. When you eat, you taste the food. When you speak with someone you love, you're actually there. When you witness beauty, you receive it fully. Because you know, this might be the last time. Third, you act with urgency on what genuinely matters. Not frantic busyness, but purposeful action. You don't postpone the difficult conversation. You don't delay the important work. You don't wait for the perfect conditions. Seneca writes, "Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life." The relationship between death and virtue. There's a deeper philosophical point here. Seneca, like all Stoics, believed that virtue is the only true good. And virtue is exercised in time. Character is built moment by moment, choice by choice. If you waste your time, you waste the only opportunity you have to develop virtue. You waste your chance to become who you're capable of being. He writes, "It's not that we have a short space of time, but that we waste much of it. Life is long enough, and it's been given to us in generous measure for accomplishing the greatest things, if the whole of it is well invested." The meditation on death is what allows you to invest your life well. Because it forces the question, what is this life for? What am I building with these days? Most people never ask this with real urgency. They assume there will be time later to figure it out. They assume they can correct course eventually. But Seneca is clear, while we wait for life, life passes. Facing the final moment. Seneca himself practiced what he taught. When the Emperor Nero ordered him to commit suicide, a common form of execution for Roman elites, Seneca faced death with philosophical composure. According to the historian Tacitus, Seneca comforted his grieving friends, reminding them of philosophy's teachings. He opened his veins calmly. He continued a philosophical discussion as his life drained away. He had rehearsed this moment his entire adult life. This is not just a story about bravery. This is what memento mori makes possible, the capacity to meet death consciously, having lived consciously. Seneca had written years earlier, "Let us cherish and love old age, for it is full of pleasure if one knows how to use it." The man who has learned to die has unlearned slavery. The person who contemplates death daily is free. Free from fear, because fear is about the future, and they've already accepted what's coming. Free from distraction, because they know what their time is worth. Free from others' expectations, because they recognize this life is finite and must be lived according to their own values. The true meaning of memento mori. Memento mori is not a meditation on death to make you afraid. It's a meditation on death to make you alive. Seneca's final teaching on this is simple: let us so live that we are not ashamed to die. Every day, conduct yourself in a way that if this were your last day, you would have no regrets about how you spent it. Not because you accomplished something extraordinary, but because you were present, you acted with integrity, you treated people well, you moved toward what matters. This is the practice. Not thinking about death to be morbid, but thinking about death to remember that you're alive right now, and this moment, this unrepeatable, vanishing moment, is all you have. Seneca writes, "No person has the power to have everything they want, but they do have the power not to want what they don't have, and to cheerfully make use of what they do have. And what you have is this, now. This breath. This moment. This day. Use it as if it matters. Because it does. It's your life happening. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now." Conclusion. The Stoics placed a skull on their desks. Not to depress themselves, but to remind themselves of what's true: life ends. Time is limited. This day counts. Seneca understood that most people live as if they're immortal and then die as if they never lived. He offered a different path: live as if you're mortal, because you are, and you might actually live before you die. The meditation on death is not the opposite of living fully. It's the prerequisite for it. Remember that you will die. Remember it today. Remember it tomorrow. Remember it until it changes how you spend your hours. Because in the end, Seneca knew, we don't fear death. We fear having wasted our lives. And the only cure for that fear is to stop wasting it. Memento mori. Not as a burden, but as a gift. The gift of remembering that you're alive, and that being alive means something.